Hey guys, so today I want to talk about running. And I know that the last couple of months have been a lot of makeup tutorials, and to be honest, that was something I did during the pandemic when everything shut down to kind of stay sane. And now that things are starting to open up, I ran my sixth half marathon this last weekend, and it feels so good because it feels like this semblance of normalcy is back. For a little while there, I really just kind of got down and I stopped running. I was training for that marathon and it just broke my heart that I had put in the time and the mental energy of setting this goal for myself and then basically having to readjust. But here we are. Like I said, I just did number 6. And I have to stop and take a moment for really setting expectations of what that means for me personally. So I have never been athletic. I'm the kid who was always picked like second to last in gym class. I am not athletically gifted at all. And I've never really enjoyed running. It doesn't come natural to me. I finish a mile and I have a red face and I could barely breathe. And one day I just said, I'm gonna do a half marathon, and I did. And I've been doing them at least once a year, give or take, since. I've learned some things along the way. So I wanted to share my tips for running a half marathon for non-runners. So number 1 is going to be probably like the most important. Stick to a training schedule. So I follow Hal Hidgon. First of all, you can pick several different types. He has everything from beginner 1, beginner 2 to advanced. And what I like about his is they're staggered and it's constantly changing. Every day is a little different. And number 2, you can cross-train. And I love cross-training. In fact, I think you should cross-train. I love yoga, I love spinning, and those types, well, I also do strength training. I wouldn't say I love it per se, but I do it. And those types of activities are strengthening your muscles in different ways. When it comes to yoga, I'm getting a stretch that a post-running stretch just won't compete with. So they definitely have their own advantages. The only thing I would say is just don't skip out on your long runs. That is, you don't want to mess around with that. What's happening with your muscles is your muscles are basically tearing when you run. And so your body needs to get used to that, resting and then doing it again on those muscles that are already sore and tired. So don't skip out on your long runs, but don't be afraid to cross-train or do some of the other activities that you like. Number 3, you're training for weeks. During that time, you should be experimenting. And that could be everything from clothes right down to like those little detailed nuanced things like what underwear should I wear or what socks roll down. Because on the day of, and this is huge, you should not be wearing anything different. You should not be eating anything different. Nothing in your routine should change. So use all of those weeks to say, this sock rolls down or this bra gives me chafing right here, and avoid that on the day of. Number 4, brush up on how to give yourself proper nutrients when you're running. I was about 2 weeks away from my first half marathon when I realized that there were so many different options, and to be honest, I mean, the fact that you should be taking some of these things 2 weeks. So instead of having all that time to figure out how my body was digesting certain things, how to put it in my clothing in a way that I could eat it easily on my run, I didn't do that. Not to mention what flavors you like or what things you like. So my favorite that I've had really since the beginning is Goo Chews. What I like about this packaging, and this is what I use for my last half, I wear the Fabletics Mila sports bra, so there's several different pockets back here. And because it's long and thin, I can just shove it in my pocket and pull it out. They're compact, they're easy to put into my clothing and work into my routine, and they taste okay. I mean, they are what they are. The other one that I really like is, this is a honey stinger waffle. This is basically a stroopwafel cookie, except they come in a variety of flavors. This one is cinnamon. I also happen to really like strawberry. What I do not like about these, as you can see, it's about the size of my palm. And who wants to run with a cookie in their pocket? I will sometimes use those on my training runs, but on the day of, I do stick to Goo Juice. Find out what works for you. Each package is going to say a different timing, and there's different schools of thought. Some have you starting them as early as 30 minutes before you start running. For my very first one, I took it at around mile 5 or 7, and then every other mile thereafter with water. As I've run more and more, I can usually tell what my body is telling me. So if I don't eat breakfast, for example, I already feel depleted by mile 2, and I will pick up some chews as soon as I'm starting to feel that exhaustion. So try and use that time to get to know your body and how and what works for you. Find the right pair of shoes. When I first started running, I thought, oh, you have a fancy name, you're a good shoe. As I have gotten to know my stride a little bit better, I happen to know that I go inward. And so I have to get shoes that are extra supported on the inside of my soles. However, everyone's gait is a little bit different. Go to a legit shoe store, get fitted, get shoes that are going to do you right, because you're going to be putting hundreds of miles on them and you don't want to injure yourself. So that's super key. Similarly, the rule of thumb for getting new shoes is swapping them out after every 300 to 500 miles. Train in several conditions. So this one, I'm actually probably really guilty of not doing. I trained a lot on a treadmill for my first half marathon. You know, you have a fan on or the AC. It's a pretty neutral condition. It's a flat ground, little to no elevation, and you're indoors. In my Toronto half, it rained. In another half, it was boiling hot. So you really need to at least try to incorporate some of those types of runs, at least to get your body familiarized with it, know how your gear is going to handle in some conditions. So not every run has to be different, but at least try. I'll leave it at that. When it comes to picking your first race, really do your due diligence and figure out the right race for you. My first race was the Chicago Half Marathon, which is a pretty big event. We're talking thousands with spectators. Major roadways are going to be closed. That was a great choice for me. I was able to spend most of the run feeling energized by these people watching, reading different signs. So there's definitely a lot of benefits, but with all those people are going to come lines, trouble parking. You might have trouble finding your family on the sidelines. You could very well miss them. So there's pros and cons to everything, but also find something that brings you joy. I mean, do you want to be in downtown, or do you want to be on a coast and along a lake or an ocean? It's really a fun opportunity to see different places and do different things. And so pick the right first race for you. Note the elevation or any hills. Train accordingly. Number 8, when it comes to the night before, again, don't be eating anything different. Try and keep it pretty neutral, nothing spicy or crazy, unless that's your everyday. I like to lay everything out, and literally every single detail is planned the night before and ready to go. On the day of, know where you're going. Rent a hotel room if you have to, because if it's a crowded race, you're going to be battling traffic, parking, etc. And then you stand in line and wait in these corrals. And so it's just nice to have a plan going into it, because number 9, as much as you plan, prepare for the unexpected. So I had a race where I couldn't find anyone afterwards. It was just super crowded, and you just have to go with the punches. I've had another race where it wasn't even mile 1 and my music stopped working. And I don't know about you, but 13 miles with no music is horrible. Horrible. I've been to races that have run out of like essential things like toilet paper or water. So just try and be as prepared as you can. Bring your gels or your drink, if you have a running vest or a fanny pack or something. Also be ready to just go with the flow. I mean, if the music stops, the music stops. You have to get it done. And this is going to be ending so cheesy, and it's on so many lists, but it is true. It is true. Have fun. Number 10, have fun. You know, you've spent weeks doing really boring runs. There are days where it's been so hot and you don't want to run. You don't feel like running. And you do it, and this is kind of the culmination of all your work and your effort. And take that time to just enjoy it. Just have fun. You earned it. Did I think that I would be this far in? No. Like I said, I signed up on a whim, and here I am. I'll never be the fastest. It's not my goal. It's not what I'm trying to achieve here, and that's okay. You could be much, much faster, and that's great. You could be much slower. So just go out, have fun, be proud of yourself, but if nothing else, please stick to your schedule. At least do your due diligence, and you can do it. Really, seriously, you can do it. I promise you. That's it for me today. I will see you next time. Have a good day.